Hello. If you see something in the bottom, that's a mirror. Today, I appear before of all of you, barefaced, to do the makeup and books tag. I also don't have my ring, I don't have my necklace, I don't have my bracelet, I have nothing. I'm completely unprepared. The lack of makeup makes me lose it a little bit. So, as I put my things that make me look more like a functional human being, what is the makeup and books tag? The makeup and books tag, I don't really know what it is. I just know that you put on makeup and you talk about books while you put on makeup. And since makeup is like 45% of my entire personality and books are 30%, I thought it would be a good idea to actually... Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to look at this to see what I'm doing. Wait. Oh god. Woo! Now I have my shit on. We're gonna be doing some makeup today. So first I have to take off my glasses. Yes, I do have a face without my glasses. So the makeup and books tag is basically a tag that you talk about books and then you talk about makeup. And I love books, but I also really fucking love makeup. So I decided that there's nothing more on brand than talk about the two together. So basically the tag, there's a set of questions that you have to answer, a series of prompts that you have to answer based on certain makeup products of your makeup routine. I'm gonna be doing that. Also, this is probably the palest I've ever been in my entire fucking life. I haven't been out of the house in 4 months. So according to my mom, I look like a house gecko. Every other person that I saw doing this tag was like, oh, I don't wear that much makeup. Bitch, I wear so much fucking makeup. I wear so much fucking makeup. You might wonder, is that a cake or is that a face? And you might want to cut it to see if it's a cake. It became a huge part of my personality also. Well, something that I kind of had to let go during quarantine. But every once in a while, it's 8 o'clock in the evening, I drank a whole bottle of wine by myself like 6 hours ago. I'm a bit tipsy also still, but we're gonna see how this is going to end up. I have the questions on my phone, I have my makeup, my dog is sleeping, I have a mirror, I have a ring light, I feel pure beauty influencer trash, and we're gonna do this, right? Okay, I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to start by the... I forgot the word. I'm going to start by the eyeshadow. Eyeshadow. No, wait, before eyeshadow, I actually have to clean my face. I feel gross. I feel disgusting. Okay, so now we can go to the questions. For the eyeshadow prompt, pick a book with your favorite colors on the cover. Oh, yeah. The eyeshadow that I'm going to be using today is this Quem Disse Berenice palette. Quem Disse Berenice is a Brazilian makeup brand that I absolutely adore. I love their products. I think their products are so nice. This is the palette. I just bought it, barely used it. So, you know, I'm going to be trying this out today. As I apply this, I'm going to talk to you about this book. This is the book that I'm going to pick for this question. This is the Brazilian edition of Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematorium by author Caitlin Doughty. It has white, black, and red on the cover. So instead of primer, today we're doing concealer on my eyes while I talk about this book. Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematorium is a non-fiction memoir book by author Caitlin Doughty. And basically what the book does is describe Caitlin's life as she started working in the funeral industry in California. You already saw me barefaced, so I think it's fair if we were to talk to each other a little bit. You know, get a little bit up close and personal. There are dogs barking and I can't do anything. I have to tell you a little bit on why this book specifically changed my life. When I was 14 years of age, I got diagnosed with a panic disorder and also generalized anxiety disorder. I still have them and I still struggle with them to this day. One of the things that would actually be a trigger for my panic disorder would be the thought of death. And the source of my fear was that I would die and I would never get to do anything that I wanted to do with my life. And as I grew older and I went to college, and it got more manageable. It's not like I don't have panic attacks. I still do, especially during quarantine. It's like it's difficult not to think of doom and gloom in the middle of a global pandemic. But I kind of like identified that the thought of death was a trigger for me, and I would completely avoid all things death related. Oh, this color is so pretty. Ooh. Oh, wow. Ooh, okay, I like this. That is a coping mechanism, but it's not a particularly healthy one. I am not a Catholic person. I'm not a Christian. I do have my own religion. In my religion, what we believe is that there is no such thing as coincidence in the world. Like, everything will happen for a reason. I was strolling around YouTube, you know, as I was wont to do, and I found Caitlin Doty's channel, and she has this channel called Ask Her Mortician, and she has this one video like, why are you afraid of death? And I just clicked on it, and it was the spark that I needed to actually start facing this fear of mortality. I saw that she had a book, and the book is Smoke It's in Your Eyes. So I thought, well, I'm gonna buy this book. Speaking about the book properly now, basically what Caitlin Doughty does is that in her book, even though she uses a lot of references and she did a very thorough research to talk about the topics that she discusses in this book, she also tells a lot of very personal stories. I think Caitlin just spoke like straight to my soul and my own experiences as a child when she wrote this book. And this was the book that taught me that you cannot fear what you know. And the more you talk about death, and the more you plan your own funeral, and the more you make your own arrangements, and the more you do all of those things, the more that you get more comfortable with the idea of mortality, you will also become more comfortable with the idea of death. Having a good death means having a good life. That was such like a game changer for me, because I kind of realized that I was doing a lot of things on other people's terms, and that wasn't necessarily making me happy. I just, you know, started to make a lot of changes in my life and realized that I have very little time on this earth. And what little time I have to make it count. And on the other hand, I do have very little time. And in the great scheme of things, most of my mistakes don't really mean anything. And the height of this process that I got of being death positive, that started with me reading Smoke It's in Your Eyes, happened in this year. I don't know if I'm gonna put a picture of my tattoo here. And it's basically an hourglass, and it's written Memento Mori. This is not a Crescent City tattoo. I would like to address the controversy. This is a tattoo that for me just kind of like crowns all of the progress that I made with my own mental health and my own acceptance of my own mortality. And I think that this beautiful process that I've been going through, embracing death as a reality of life, would not have happened if I didn't have started reading this book. When I say that a book changed my life, I'm not only saying that so good, it was like the best book. I'm saying that Smoke It's in Your Eyes was responsible for the kickstarting of the strides that I made in my mental health. And I do not have enough words to put out how grateful I am for Caitlin Doughty for having written this book and for doing the work that she's doing. I am just, you know, extremely grateful for her as a person, as an author, and as an educator, as an activist, for having caused such an impact on my life like that. On a lighter note, I am going to put a little bit of concealer again. I am going to put the pigment here. This golden pigment though, I bought this for Carnival 2016, and this shit is still going strong. I don't know how come I can get so much mileage out of this. 4 years going strong. This is probably expired already. I love makeup, but I'm really not careful with it. Okay, so the eye makeup is done. Eyeliner. Pick a dark and mysterious book. So for eyeliner, I'm also going with the Quem Disse Berenice product. Who would have thought? And this is an eyeliner that I bought, not my favorite one by them, I'll have to admit. Because instead of like this felt tip, it's kind of like a wheel. It's the weirdest shit ever. I'm not sure you can see that, but it's kind of like a wheel instead of a tip. It's so weird. I'm gonna... So... Wait, no. I'm gonna... no. Okay. For the dark and mysterious book, I am nominating The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I'm picking it because it has like this dark atmosphere. I saw this tweet the other day. I'm not sure who said it, but the person said that The Bear and the Nightingale was cool because it was like Death and the Maiden, but the maiden was actually a feral witch child, and that is so true. I love The Bear and the Nightingale so much. I love how well researched the book is. Catherine Arden okay, no, I'm gonna finish with this off camera. So now am I finally done with the eyes. I hope the rest of the tag can go easier. For primer is pick a book that left a lasting impression on you. For that, I would have to choose Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. This is an antique. For primer, I usually vary a little bit more. I'm usually now the Revlon Photo Ready primer. Slaughterhouse-Five is basically a like semi-autobiographical novel by Kurt Vonnegut of his years serving the US Army during World War II, as he was a witness to the bombing of Dresden. He uses metaphors so well in this book, and I'm still astounded by it. For foundation, favorite first book in a series. I'm gonna have to cheat. What happens is, usually, I use this foundation, is the MAC Match Master SPS 15, shade 1.5, because again, this is the palest I've been in my entire life. But I will go from a 1.5 to a 2.5 depending on how much I've been actually living my life. Normally my shade is an NC30, but this one blows up so goddamn white. So I bought this Ruby Rose, it's a Brazilian brand that is not really good. I would not wear this. The wearability of this is nothing, but this is a good foundation to show on screen. So I'm just going to apply it real quickly with the Beauty Blender. So for the first book in a series, I'm going with Neuromancer by William Gibson. I actually have the box set of the Sprawl trilogy, but Neuromancer for me is still the best book out of this trilogy and one of the best sci-fi books that I've ever seen in my entire life. This is the cover, this is the back, the most beautiful edition I've ever seen on a book. I have the old edition of this. My dad bought this, the edition in English, I think it was in 1991, and I still have that one. I just had this for the aesthetics because this is so gorgeous. Why is it my favorite book in the series? So basically, Neuromancer is the first book in what we call the Sprawl trilogy. And when it came out, it is one of the first books that did two things. First of all, it was one of the first books that actually developed what we call cyberpunk. And this book also is the first book to mention the Matrix. If you're thinking about the Matrix in the movie Matrix, is not necessarily that. The Matrix in Neuromancer works a whole lot more like the internet. If you know Cyberpunk, you might know Cyberpunk from games such as Cyberpunk 2077, which will only come out in 2077 at this rate. It's about a dystopian world where there is a lot of access to high technology, but that access to high technology doesn't necessarily mean socio-economical development. The story is basically about this young hacker called Chase.
Hi, hello, this is Editing Low. I am aware that the character's name is Case, not Chase. You'll have to forgive me. That's just it.
And he teams up with this razor girl called Molly to invade a lunar colony, invade like this mansion on a lunar colony. I don't particularly like the later books in the series. I think they're kind of dumb. But Neuromancer, amazing. Okay, concealer. Pick some characters you wish didn't exist. Ooh, I am going to get controversial. Right, for the concealer, I'm using this concealer by a Brazilian brand called Tacta. And for the question, pick some characters you wish did not exist. For that, I am going to choose Triss Merigold from the Witcher series. Why? I hate Triss. I think she is a terrible friend. She's not that good of a sorceress. She is very naive and she's very selfish. And I hate that she is a possible romance option in The Witcher 3. I hate that if you stay with Triss, Ciri asks you, Dad, what the fuck? And you can answer, it's easier to love her. She takes care of Ciri in the first few books, and then when she realizes that Ciri isn't a well-behaved child, let's put it that way, she just hands her over to Yennefer, who should have been taking care of her in the first place since the beginning. There is no prompt in this list for contouring, but this moon face needs some contouring, so I'm just gonna do that real quick. Now that the contour is in place and I look a little less rounded, powder. Pick your favorite last book in a series. Okay, so for powder, I am going to go with a mix of the two. So this is a Catherine Hill powder in the shade Pale. So this is it. And this is a translucent powder by a brand called ADVOCACY. Both these brands are Brazilian. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm not really happy with that. Usually I'm really quick with my makeup. But anyway, so for powder, the question is pick your favorite last book in a series, and I am going to be a cheap bitch and go with Crooked Kingdom. I know, groundbreaking, but I absolutely adore Crooked Kingdom. I thought it was a great way to close the series. Maybe when I get to the last book of the Winter Night trilogy, but I'm a very fast reader, so I try to pace myself with books that I know I'm going to love, and I've been slowly making my way through the Winter Night trilogy because I love The Bear and the Nightingale so much. So maybe my answer to that might change.
Hello, this is Editing Low once more. I am a big fat filthy fucking liar, and I actually, after I finished this video, wrapped up the entire Winter Night trilogy in 4 days. Don't trust me.
But as of now, I would go with Crooked Kingdom. I am also going to take this opportunity to contour with powder because there's also no powder contour in this. This is clearly made for people who don't have the moon for the face shape. It's definitely not my case. We're almost done. We're almost done. Yay! I am not going to put falsies today. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. Eyebrows. Okay, pick a book you think everyone should read. For that question, I'm going with this. I don't even know the brand of this. I bought this at a drugstore. Whatever. I am going to go with Felix Ever After for this. I love the characters, and I think it talks about such relevant questions in the world that we live in. I absolutely love the way that it gets the message across. It does so in a very lighthearted way. I think everybody should read that to really understand what it means to be a person who is still trying to fight for the right to be a person. I absolutely adored it. Blush. Pick a book with a cringe-worthy romance. Oh boy. Oh boy. So for this prompt, I am going to go with the Avatar series with Feyre and Rhysand. I can't. It's the most cringe-worthy romance I've ever had the misfortune to read in a book. For blush, I'm going with this old-ass MAC blush that I've had in forever. I don't even know the shade of this. Like, this is how old this is. Again, it's probably expired already, but almost done, almost done, almost done, almost done. Okay, for highlighter, pick a book that brightens your day. The highlighter that I'm going to use also doesn't have a brand. I don't know where I bought it. I probably bought it for Carnival. I didn't run out of it, and I'm still using it as a highlighter to this day. For the book, I am going to go with Erotic Stories for Punjabi Widows. There's this girl called Nikki, and Nikki is a Sikh, and her family is, and she's going through a couple of struggles in finding her place in the world. And I'm also going to apply bronzer in this section because there's also not bronzer. Nikki basically just finds herself in a position where she starts giving creative writing lessons to Punjabi widows, and what the widows write is just smut. It's just smut. It's just a lot of smut. This book is so good. I would highly recommend people reading it. It's just so heartwarming and so light and so funny, but also so it deals with some very serious topics. But then again, it's just like 80-year-old grannies writing porn. It's just so good. It's so good. For mascara, pick a long book. Do I have a long boy? I guess. For this, I'm going to go with this Behemoth of a book. This is my Brazilian edition of Simone de Beauvoir's The Second Sex. It is exactly 935 pages long. So this is how big this boy is. I love this book. It's basically like a feminist must-read. If you are intimidated by the sheer size of this thing, read just the introduction to The Second Sex. Is probably, you know, the easiest way to get into academic feminism and academic feminism reading. For mascara, I actually have a MAC mascara. Yes, bougie as fuck. I got this as a gift, so that's why I do have a MAC mascara. So fucking finally, for the last prompt is lipstick. Your favorite book kiss. Okay, I have issues when it comes to lipstick. I have issues when it comes to red lipstick. I have many. I have too many. Every time I buy a new red lipstick, I feel like my mom is going to disown me. So this is a lipstick by Brazilian brand, Quem Despera Nice. The best lipsticks I've ever worn in my entire life. Like, I have the Fenty Beauty lipsticks, this one, this shade. I absolutely adore it. It's my favorite red. But nothing can beat this. This is my favorite color. It's called Vermelho Made. For the book, I'm going to go with Get a Life Chloe Brown. Every single first kiss in that book is just amazing. Amazing. I love Chloe's relationship with Red, and I think they're just like the cutest couple ever. Well, shit. If you're human again. Yes. This is the makeup look. I hope you enjoyed the questions. I hope you enjoyed my rambling. I hope you enjoyed me coming back to look like a human being. And I will see you next time. Bye.